League, which this evening comes to you from the International Sports Centre in Newcastle, the venue for the first representative fixture of the season between Sydney and New South Wales country. It's a sunny day but quite cool with a light westerly breeze, keeping the temperature to about 18 degrees. Fielding almost a test side, Sydney are hot favourites to not only win but win convincingly. Despite the withdrawal of Steve Mortimer and Les Boyd, it's still a very strong side. Those who didn't play in last year's tests against France are 5'8" Mick Patterson, halfback Peter Sterling, second rowers John Muggleton and Bruce Walker, prop John Coveney, and the new skipper, hooker Max Krilich. Well, while country can't expect to win, their selectors have really demonstrated that they've got absolutely nothing to lose. Not one member of this side played for country first last year, and what they lack in experience, they'll make up for in youth, fitness and keenness. Lithgow centre Jeff Pensini, 5'8" Mark Harrigan, second rowers Goodwin and Brooks, and former Queensland prop Willie Tarry will be the players to watch. Country haven't beaten Sydney since 1975 when they caused that 19-9 upset. Since then they've suffered 6 successive defeats, including last year's 38-7 loss in Canberra, in which Sydney ran in 8 tries. But whatever the result today, players on both sides realise the importance of giving of their best. The Sydney boys to consolidate a place in the New South Wales and Australian teams, and the country players to possibly earn themselves a lucrative contract with the City Club in the future. Our referee today, Jack Danzy. So country winning the toss, and Cronin kicks off for Sydney, and Sydney running from right to left, and the ball put down right down near the goal line, and country going to bring it out. Fullback Greg Guider. Dummy half is Alexander. Now these are the two men expected to do most of the work for country in the opening stages. It's going to be the two props, Willie Tarry and Greg Heddles. That's Heddles.
I think they've got to get involved early to settle the play down. The country would be wise to just take their time, and having played in these matches, I know that there's a lot of tension and a lot of feeling, and the sooner a side can settle down and get into their attacking game, the better.
David Brooks' kick was fielded there by Brentnell, who's going to play it in country's half. That's Bruce Walker. That's some solid defence too, with Donnelly coming in over the top to finish off the tackle started by Brooks. Krilich, Sterling, Hilditch. Taken by the entire front row for country. Krilich. Inside is Coveney. Nice low tackle by Alexander. Hilditch, dummy half. Muggleton's pass to Price. Caught by the halfback Payton. Still gets his pass back. That's the experience in the Sydney side coming out. Patterson letting it go out to Cronin. Cronin's got Patterson doubling around. It's gone to Bowstead. Bowstead's got his wing at a beat and can't do it. A good tackle from Jim Palmer. Sterling. It's Krilich. Long pass to Muggleton. Walker. Price. Got Rebo with him. Muggleton, good backing up. Keeping the ball going. They've lost it, and fullback Guider will play it for country. About 15 metres out from his own goal line.
Well, it's very obvious that Sydney's plan is to throw the ball around, as we did see there, and Cronin did step out of a tackle, so it's country will need to watch that defence out wide.
First penalty of the match. It took quite a while to come.
Looking for his parent.
Nice kick, finding touch, almost on halfway. And another penalty against Sydney, once again caught up in defence. Hadn't cleared the 5 metres then, or the 10 metres is required by the second kick. Now Alexander. Second rower Goodwin. Alexander, Tarry. Payton calling for it. This is he, the halfback. Harrigan. Alexander calling his forwards up, marshalling them well. And it was Brooks who took the pass and the tackle. Good strong tackle from Walker and Price. Lock forward Goodwin. Now last tackle coming up for country. Payton didn't get time to put it in the air, and he's almost through. He's a good little stepper, this fellow, very much in the mould of Steve Mortimer, and he very nearly got through the Sydney defence that was caught napping. Sydney anticipating the kick. Payton realising he couldn't put it in, so he decided to run it. Now let's see how Sterling treats the scrum. Well, quite efficiently, but it's a penalty because it went in the second row. Gary Cook.
Yes, it is very unfortunate that that penalty didn't come a few seconds earlier when I thought he fed it into the second row on the first attempt.
Well, Country able to put pressure on this Sydney side now. And the kick that actually loses ground for Country, but that's to their advantage because they've got more room now in which to manoeuvre and attack. They weren't cramping themselves so close to the goal line, and so they use Harrigan. This is a smart pair of halves for Country. We haven't heard much of them, but they've both got very promising futures. Long pass. It was left behind by Tarry. Country have still got it. In fact, I think Sydney have got it. They have. Price. Cronin. Rogers. Got Bosted going with him. Palmer waiting for him. Still getting it back to Price. Cronin. Well, those Sydney centres haven't been given all that much room. Ball's been knocked on. There'll be a scrum.
The clubhouse, please, into the Secretary's office here at the International Sports Centre.
Scrum penalty goes to Sydney. So we haven't seen a great deal of movement in this game as yet. Number of penalties stopping the flow of the game. 3-1 the penalties to Country.
I think also, Alan, that the players are getting used to each other. The City side, they're playing together for the first time, and it takes a while to get into a pattern.
So Sydney's chance. Hilditch. Krilich. Muggleton was the decoy, went to Walker. That's on the Country quarter line. Sterling using the blind side to Price, getting it to Cronin, who's nearly through, has Rebo with him. And again, it was a good tackle by the Country boys, putting the big centre to ground. It was fullback Guida who finished the tackle. Hilditch. And that's how it should be done, going low. Looked to be Goodwin. Sterling, Patterson, trailed through by Walker, using an overlap. Muggleton, beautiful pass. Fullback Brentnell going for the line, will score the first try of the match.
Quick hands, and again through the half and 5/8. It's good stuff indeed. Muggleton, a fine pass you'll see from here. Brentnell's there. He's got support outside in Rogers, but he doesn't need Rogers and scores himself.
And from head on, you'll see that Patterson unloads there, and as Brentnell gets the ball here from Muggleton, he gets inside that tackle of Payton's. Payton comes after him, but he misses the tackle of Gibbs. Here's Cronin's attempted conversion, which is straight on target, and so Sydney go to a lead now of 5 points to 0, and that comes up after about 13 minutes of play. Now halfback Bob Payton puts the ball into play for Country, a high kick. Didn't quite allow his forwards to get up under it in time, and Bosted is put to ground by hooker Alexander. He's lost the ball. Alexander's got it, and there had been a call there for the ball to be played, and as it came loose, referee Danzy had no option now to put the scrum down. Sterling, Patterson, Cronin. Good tackle, Pensini. And another one by Pensini going low, but Sydney still clear it. Gone out to Patterson, right out to Bosted. Sydney anxious to throw the ball around, quite a number of the passes going to ground. About 8 metres inside Sydney's half to Krilich, Walker. And again Alexander, who's doing plenty of work in defence for the Country side, on halfway. Krilich, Sterling, Hilditch. Driven down by Brooks. Only 19, this young fellow, but he's got loads of promise. Again, the ball coming loose. And that's a good scrum for Country to win. Long pass, Pensini. Cut down from behind by Patterson. Alexander, a dummy half. Donnelly. That's Harrigan. Countryside being urged on by this Newcastle crowd now. Sydney leading 5 points to 0. And I think this Countryside has caught the Sydney side by surprise. Things haven't been as easy for the City Slickers as they probably expected.
They're handling the ball and they're minimising their errors, and of course this is they're able to keep the pressure on the City side. And in previous years we've seen them make a lot of errors, but so far the Countryside performing very well.
Scrum's collapsed, so there'll be a penalty and it'll go to Country.
Well, the penalties are heavily in favour of Country, being 6-1, while the scrums are now level at 3-all.
Second rower Brooks kicking for touch and making a bad mistake by not finding him. So Sydney can run play out of their own quarter now, right on the quarter line.
Yes, I don't want too much of that. As I was saying, their errors. Well, that's a bad error because it immediately gives Sydney possession, and well, they know what to do with it.
Hilditch, Sterling, unloading to Hilditch, Patterson, Cronin, Rogers went past him. Brendell's back to recover. These two centres are doing a lot of defending, Gibbs and Pensini, and they've done pretty well too. Krilic, Sterling, Rogers, got Cronin outside. It's a beautiful handler of the football, Mick Cronin.
Yes, a good tackle by his opposite number, Gibbs, too.
Well, Sydney trying to work that overlap now. Constant passing, just trying to find the Country defence out of position, which they've done. Sterling's got it, unloads over the top. Rebo being chased by Gibbs and his opposite winger, Duke. Brendell, Muggleton, Brendell, Sterling, Patterson, Cronin, Sterling. Price trailing him through. Walker putting it down. Greg Guider for Country. Alexander, Tarry, it's about 20 metres out from the Country goal line. Pedals. A bit of a ruckus going on by cross-field behind play. Hilditch being involved with Willie Tarry. Well, here's an unusual move with the breeze going across the field. Brooks is going to kick with it. Last time he failed to find touch from a lot closer position in that time. In fact, he's lost ground. I would have thought that he was close enough to this touchline to come this side, irrespective of how much ground he got. Play just over Country's quarter line, far side of the field, 5-0 the score. Payton and Heddles. Good pass to Payton. Sterling the tackler, bad pass there. Patterson chasing it through. It's gone loose, Country have regained, so it'll be a knock on to both sides.
Seemed a rather surprising decision. I couldn't see a Country knock on there. It appeared that City were the only side knocking on.
Good scrum win for Sydney. Now they're on the attack. Patterson next to the scrum base. Price. Hilditch standing flat-footed. Sterling. Muggleton. He's away. He'll score himself. And the Country skipper, Terry Donnelly, is absolutely disgusted with himself for missing that tackle. Muggleton getting out of Donnelly's tackle, and he was able to race over and score. The second try to Sydney, 8-0 the score.
Yes, well, it's a simple matter of defence. They've got to tackle, and of course Donnelly's gone far too high, and Muggleton's just gone straight through to score an easy try.
And from head on, you'll see how Donnelly anticipated. He moved up well, but then he should never have allowed Muggleton to get through his grasp and score by diving over. Payton puts the ball back in play with Cronin having missed the conversion attempt. 8-0 is the score in favour of Sydney. Peter Sterling is midway between his own quarter line and the halfway line. Dummy half is Muggleton. Village. Walker went past him to Sterling. Price. Ray Price to halfway to Bowstead. Bowstead has fullback Guy to the beat. And that was a neat little hip and shoulder that Bowstead got right in front of the touch judge. Referee Jack Danzy saw it. And Gary, how would you interpret that?
Well, here he is, Price offloading again. Bowstead about to kick here. Country fullback just kept going, and Bowstead has to get around him.
I think the country coach, Johnny Armstrong, can be happy with his charges. They've got the scoreline at 8-0 to Sydney, and I think they're playing quite well. They're keeping the ball tight. They're not making many errors. They did make a couple, but at this stage they're going pretty good. But they must continue to tackle.
Well, here's a chance for Sydney now with Brendel unloading to Rogers, who snapped it up beautifully on the half volley. Rogers looked for support. He's 10 metres out. Bowstead dummy half. Price. Patterson. Cronin through the gap. Nice tackle there, but from second rower Goodwin. Muggleton. It's Patterson. Krillage to direct operations. Sterling. That's a neat little run by the halfback. Lovely pass. Greg Brendel. In fact, he has touched down. Brendel got up and wanted to run around behind the posts. Referee Dangy said no, he'd already grounded it in goal. 3 tries now. Here it is.
I think this shows Peter Sterling's class, and he gets through there. The defence, a hard man to tackle. Probably could have scored himself, but Brendel right on the spot.
Well, interesting from head on to see whether in fact Brendel did touch that down. He had his arm under the ball. And Brendel takes the pass, hits the ground, and in fact doesn't look as though he's grounded the ball. McCronin to take Sydney further in front with this kick, which just scrapes over the right-hand upright. And that's the score with about 9 minutes to go before half-time. Brendel. Muggleton. Just occurred to me, Reg, that 3 times so far we've praised country's effort so far in this game, and immediately afterwards they've conceded a try.
Yes, we'll have to stop praising them, but here's the centres at it again. Cronin on to Rogers. And I do expect that, I keep saying country must tackle. They must keep that straight line. At the moment they're going up and leaving gaps, and that's what Sydney will be looking for.
Well, country are going to be weakened, I think, by an injury to the right knee of Greg Heddles, who's been limping. Could well be he's going to be replaced.
Well, that would be a blow for country because he's played it pretty tight and pretty solid.
This is Krillage. Hilditch. Sterling. Rogers put through the gap. He ran straight for Heddles, realising that Heddles was immobilised. So Brendel, who's in everything, gets it to Sterling. Here's a try, is it? No, Walker's still got it. 6 tackles gone. Up one to Sydney. Payton, the halfback, penalised for not retiring. And the scrum in a handy position for Sydney now. Running up to half-time, and Sydney looking for a further try. Price caught by Goodwin. Krillage playing it forward. He's through. This is a try to Ray Price. And that's inexperience. The experience of Ray Price showing up the inexperience of the countryside.
Because that ball can be played forward, as Ray Price realises, and scores a very intelligent try.
Yes, as a matter of fact, and to play the ball can be played in any direction, and Ray Price preferred to tow it forward, straight between the legs of Greg Heddles, and he was in for his try. That try coming up about 6 minutes before the break, and McCronin to take the score to 18-0. Pushed that one away to the left, but he got it through.
successful again for Mick
So
Cronin.
4 tries now to Sydney. Brentnall, the fullback, has scored 2, and the others touched down by second rower Muggleton and lock forward Price. Cronin's converted 3 of them, and that gives Sydney the lead of 18-0 with about 5 minutes now before the break.
I think the coach, Johnny Armstrong, has got to tell his charges to keep that straight line in defence. Immediately they start to run sideways in defence, Sydney players straighten up and they create the gaps. And of course we can see the speed in that back line. If they're given any room to move at all, Sydney will be very dangerous out there.
Second rower Muggleton, about 28 metres out from his own goal line. Krillage dummy half. Sterling, Patterson, Cronin, Brentnall. Been very damaging. Got Bowstead with him. It was a nice dummy he sold to the defence. Bowstead, Sterling, Hilditch. Peter Sterling. Talk about a nice dummy. You won't see better than that. And a lovely pass. Walker, where's the support? It's in Patterson. Patterson looks inside. Rebo, the ball was knocked forward by, or backwards by Country. And that's going to be Ray Price's second try. Now that might have looked like a knock on to Sydney, but in fact it had been knocked backwards by Country. And the whistle didn't blow. Referee Danzy played the advantage, and Ray Price, realising that, picked it up. Here it is.
And Sterling's throwing that brilliant dummy, and he weaves his way right round through, and he's got Hilditch in support out wide. And immediately unloads the ball onto Walker. Patterson joins into this, and this is where this fine bit of defensive work, it actually comes off the Country player. Price is there to pick the ball up, and you'll notice that he does hesitate and looks around, but it's a try.
Well, surely after Sterling had broken the defence, John Rebo must have thought, well, here it comes. As he came up on the left flank, out of screen on the right, Hilditch got it inside to Walker, Walker to Patterson. And now Rebo anticipating his try here, but it came off the tackler. That was Philip Duke. Ray Price snaps it up and right under the posts. McCronin makes it 23-0. And it looks like Mick Patterson receiving attention from the Sydney trainer. Alf Richards showing a fair bit of concern for him, and the way he's got his arm strapped, it would indicate a collarbone perhaps. And that's bad luck for Mick Patterson. Payton's restart. So coming up to half-time, score 23-0 and 5 tries to none. Sydney have scored.
Yes, and it looks like Sydney are getting right into their game, and Country are going to have to maintain that straight line. If they get a little bit over-anxious and they move up and they create that gap, then the Sydney players will find it. And we see now the ball going across the back line, and that's the type of football I expect we're going to see in the second half.
Brentnall getting it out on the far side, and that's another try. Mick Cronin this time touching down. Sydney really starting to take control of this game now. Once again, the damaging player was Greg Brentnall, and chiming in to make the extra man on the far side gave the defence no chance. Here it is.
Yes, in Country, they're desperate there. Brentnall getting into it, and you can see that by keeping this ball alive, Brentnall again, he handles twice, gives the final pass to Cronin, and he goes in for an outstanding team try.
And from right back on his own quarter, or almost on halfway in fact, Brentnall chimes in, out to Bowstead, realises he can't beat the cover, finds Brentnall inside again. Brentnall's pass to Cronin, who was unmarked, and Mick Cronin an easy training run to cross over and score wide out.
Well, Mick Cronin failed to convert that try, and the half-time score 26 points to 0, and it looks ominous for the Country side because Sydney are starting to put their act together, particularly the likes of Cronin, Rogers, Greg Brentnall, an outstanding first half. He's already scored 2 tries, and he's a danger every time he comes into the attack. The Country players must keep a straight line. They must move up and they must tackle. I do feel, however, I think the floodgates will open, and I think we'll see many more Sydney tries.
Ball put into play by Bob Payton. And Country with the slight use of the breeze, blowing, as we mentioned, virtually straight across the ground, but just giving a slight advantage to the team running right to left. This is Rebo playing it. He hasn't had many opportunities yet. Price. This Country defence seemingly starting as resolutely as they did at the beginning of the match. Their defence did fail towards half-time, but they started off pretty well. Hilditch. There's a huge hole in the defence just on the edge of the ruck there. We don't often see Ron Hilditch make breaks like that. Sterling. Thompson to Cronin. Thompson. Brentnell. Very dangerous. Greg Brentnell again, up over halfway. Fullback to beat, coming in field, looking for his winger. The pass was knocked down and Country have got it. That's the skipper, Terry Donnelly.
Brentnell again has made that break. He's definitely a danger man out there, and of course it was a simple run-around movement that's getting the Country defence confused. They've got to move up together and certainly hit that man when he comes around.
Pedals. Midway, quarter line and half. Alexander. No one going with him, so he had to go himself. Got out of Krilich's tackle, not that beautiful tackle of Coveney's. Donnelly. Little one over the top, and that might find touch. Revo getting back. With Country player receiving attention. That's second rower Brooks, I think. Yes, just looking at the breeze, it does appear to have swung around from the west towards the southwest, so it's a greater advantage to Country now than it was for Sydney in the first half. Coveney has gone to dummy half. Well, Sydney anxious for more points now, and Bruce Walker standing up in the tackle. Heddles is on the ground. Thompson. Cronin. Brentnell was outside. Cronin's going to play it on the fifth tackle. Sterling. Got Muggleton with him. Nice break. Muggleton going for the quarter line. Inside was Price. Rebo was there, and it's a Country ball. 5'8" Harrigan playing it. This is Tarry. Payton. And Matt Goodwin. Long one went out to the wing. Sydney have almost had it. Kerry Bosted knocking it into touch for a scrum about 18 metres away from the Country goal line. No score yet in the second half. Penalty against Peter Sterling from that scrum. Just so far, Reg, how do you think Sterling's handled himself?
Very well indeed, Alan. It's very obvious to me that the tactics that have been applied by Frank Stanton is to unload the ball, and on a couple of occasions Sterling has in fact made the break straight up the centre, weaving runs and positioning his players very well. I think he's doing an outstanding job. So Country's ball 12 metres inside their own half. This is Alexander, dummy half. Payton, Harrigan. Donnelly standing up to give it to Harrigan. Back to Alexander. Pensini to dummy half. Good tackle from Price. Brooks. Pensini. Tackler was Sterling. Harrigan. Tarry.
Mr. Hayes has stepped on the one urgently in the front gate, please. Mr. Hayes has stepped on.
Matt Goodwin, dummy half. One tackle to go for Country. That's Farah. Scrum screwing right around. The one hardly went in. Loose arm in the scrum against Alexander. Only 2 scrums have been decided to date in the second half. Sydney have won both, and they are in fact in front in the scrums now by 9-6. Back to Krilich. Out wide was Walker. Krilich, Sterling, Brentnell, Sterling, Rogers. He was set upon by Pensini. Cronin. Open side is Caveney. Now to Sterling. Long pass from Thompson found Brentnell. Brentnell's through again and gives it to Boasted, who dives over. Hit the corner post, but he had grounded the ball. And here again, the example of Greg Brentnell coming in from fullback.
And his timing is excellent. He's picking that gap all the way along, and it's a fine pass there to cut out the man. But Brentnell there throws the dummy, is tackled, but gives it to Boasted, who goes in for the try.
And you'll see how Brentnell delayed his pass as he got it here from Thompson, and then just dummied once, caught the winger on the wrong foot, and Boasted scored. It's Rebo.
Very interesting to note the crowd here, and a very happy announcer has announced that it looks like it is a record crowd here of somewhere around 22,600 people. So that certainly shows the wisdom of having the City Country game here in Newcastle.
And in the change made in the countryside, winger Jim Palmer has left the field. Greg Guider has switched from fullback to the left wing, and John Maguire, who comes from Bateman's Bay, has gone on as fullback in number 14. This is Ron Hilditch giving it to Caveney. Well, it's Alan. It's at Caveney. Showed a fair bit of pace through the ruck there. There's going to be a scrum on halfway almost. Country ball, and Donnelly gives it there to Maguire. He's no doubt glad he's got a run because he was disputing the fullback position with Guider. Oh, Alexander, a solid tackle there from Caveney. That bent him backwards. That must have hurt. He didn't show any signs of it. Farrah's left it and picked up by Walker. So the country football now becoming quite full of errors, and Sydney are capitalising. They've got possession. Muggleton trailed through by Cronin. A beautiful pass to the centre. Cronin's got Rogers coming up inside. Stevie Rogers won't get away from the winger. Both wingers coming after him. Guider cuts him down, but he's over. Greg Guider showing good pace to get across. Steve Rogers sustained his pace well and scored, but look at this good pass.
Fine pass from Muggleton, and Cronin straight through, looks for his centre partner, and he's beautifully positioned. Rogers receives the pass. Guider, Duke chasing him, hit him on the line, but a great try.
And from head on, you'll see the effects of this good pass from Muggleton. He makes the break. Now watch the way he unloads here to Cronin. Cronin draws the fullback, sees Rogers inside, times his pass beautifully. Rogers will be caught, but he's got sufficient pace to reach the line first. Looks like another shoulder injury, this time Steve Rogers. That's a better kick from Cronin, right on target that time. A pretty handy lead now for Sydney. Now play started by centre Ron Gibbs. It's Price. Rebo. Price. Just throwing it back haphazardly now, Sydney. Hilditch.
I think Sydney are quite prepared to let it go, let the ball do the work, throw it around, and sometimes the play has been scrappy, but you can see Max Krilich there saying, come on, play it, let's get on with it.
Out to the centres where Brentnell's dropped it. There's been a replacement in the Sydney side now with Terry Lamb coming on. And there's going to be a further change in the centres with Peter Mortimer to come on shortly. This is Farrah on halfway. Alexander. Donnelly delaying his pass and getting it out wide there to the fullback Maguire. Back to Brooks. Tarry. End of 6. Scrum 10 metres inside Sydney's half. And we'll see the additional replacement made now with Mortimer coming on. Would appear as though Rogers is going off. Terry Lamb has gone on to 5/8 in place of Alan Thompson. Incorrect feed by Sterling. We'll see the penalty to Country 10 metres inside Sydney's half.
Well, that's bad luck for Steve Rogers with that shoulder injury. I'm sure enjoyed his freedom out there in the centre, normally playing lock for Cronulla, but he's had an outstanding game, but I don't like the look of his shoulder. It's bad luck. We certainly wouldn't want a champion like that injured.
Well, Country haven't got a point on the board. Now's their chance. They're only 10 metres out from the Sydney line. And if they can break through here, they'll get an enormous cheer from this crowd, but they've lost the ball. Donnelly's lost it. Price. Out to Lamb. Price. Krilich. Sterling was the decoy. Got Rebo going up outside. Krilich will play it. Tackler was Brooks. Rebo. Lamb. It's Brentnell out to Cronin. Brentnell. Beautiful little flick pass back to Mortimer. Right out to Hilditch. He keeps it going through Lamb and away to Walker. Bruce Walker not held. Up to halfway. That's a good break by the second rower. Country defence is stretched now. One tackle to go. Sterling. Krilich. Out to Muggleton. Good pace to Mortimer. Mortimer looking for his winger. The ball was knocked down. Brentnell's picked it up. Brentnell, another flick pass. Beautiful hands. Here's Rebo from the left wing. Rebo's streaking away down the right flank, getting the pass off the right winger and scores. Good work, John Rebo. Hasn't had the opportunities on the left wing, so he went looking for them and made his own try there. But it started again with that man, Greg Brentnell, getting that flick pass away.
Yes, well, Peter Mortimer losing it here, but beautifully picked up by Brentnell, and that fine flick pass, quick hands onto Rebo, and there's no Country defence there whatsoever. Rebo going over for a very simple try.
Well, Greg Brentnell handled twice in that movement as it went right across the back line. And there's Muggleton unloading it to Mortimer. Mortimer had the pass drop down. Brentnell scooped it up. Flick pass out of Bowstead inside to Rebo. And Rebo got away from the despairing dive of Matt Goodwin and has raced over for his first try of the match. Cronin's attempted conversion is straight on target. Another 2 points to Sydney. Racing away to a gigantic lead now. Kick goes down to Brentnell. It's clever play with Caven. He tackled just short of the halfway line. Price. Sterling. Brentnell. Muggleton. Walker. Hasn't had a great deal to do in this game. Bruce Walker. Sterling. Lamb. Now has Mortimer outside. A nice little dummy. A long pass went to Rebo, who's back where he should be on the left flank, trying to get away from Duke. Philip Duke holding him up. Sterling. Muggleton. Cronin on the fly. That's Harrigan. Or is it... It's the new player, Matthews. Shane Matthews is on the field in place of Pensini. Alexander. It's Farah. About 8 metres from halfway. Payton's pass is a long one. Harrigan giving it to Maguire. Harrigan's pass inside, Donnelly. Harrigan is down after getting a hit in that last exchange. Was knocked to the ground by the defences. He got the infield pass, and that's the reason for the touch judge coming on to report to Danzy. Donnelly well offside in the scrum. The ball came out and Donnelly was upon Sterling immediately. Caveney, that's how to tackle him. Matt Goodwin went right around the bootlaces there. So Sydney have scored 9 tries so far. Here's a chance for another one. Still about 29 minutes to go in the game, or should I say 19 minutes. Craig Young is on the field as a replacement. He's going to play it. And he's on for Ron Hilditch. Muggleton. Sydney's sensing another try here. Sterling. Lamb. Little kick through. Chased in through by Mortimer. And that was a knock onto both sides.
Been another replacement in the Sydney side. Ron Hilditch is off and Craig Young is on, number 24 Guernsey.
That was a good clean rake by Hilditch. Sterling straight through, as easy as you please. Just one little dummy, a quick little flick of the ankles, accelerated off the mark and went straight through without a hand being put on him. Try number 10 for Sydney. Peter Sterling, the scorer.
Yes, there's a lot of holes in this country defence now. Sterling just stepping off that left foot straight through. There's nobody there to challenge him, and he goes for an easy try.
After the ball was raked back so far behind the scrum, Sterling did well to get back and get it. A little dummy that sent Payton the wrong way, and he was through like a shot. Not a bad kick from Cronin. Just swung inside the left-hand upright, able to get 2 more points. The big question is now, can Sydney top the half-century?
The Sydney players have got nothing to lose. They've hit 44 points. Can they get the half-century at this stage? Most definitely. There's no sense in playing it too tight. Let the ball do the work, throw it around. That's exactly what they're doing.
Mortimer. Tackler there is Shane Matthews.
Brentnell chiming into the attack again there and showing his definite class out there today.
Sydney about 32 metres out. Craig Young. Picked up Rebo. Price, Sterling, Lamb. That's better defence. Matthews coming through on him quickly. Back to Sterling. On Caveney. Cronin. Still getting it away to Lamb. Long one to the centres. Muggleton's out there to Rebo. Gets it out to Walker and away to Mortimer. Racing downfield. Brentnell infield. Brentnell skipping out of tackles. Gives it back to Rebo. Long pass to the wingers. Mortimer. Getting it back to Rebo. Wrapped up ball and all by Farah. Brentnell. Young. Sterling. Price. Went past him to Muggleton. Had a fair game, Muggleton. So Sterling. Sterling showing his pace. Floating it out to Boasted. Fullbacks across. Boasted in. Good try. That's a fine try to Kerry Boasted. His second. Try number 11 to Sydney. 47-0 the score. 16 minutes to go. Here it is.
Yes, and again, this fellow Muggleton having an outstanding game, but the beauty of this try again is that by keeping it alive, and Sterling did very well to anticipate that then. And watch his final pass. He draws that defence in, taken beautifully by Boasted, straight for that corner post. A fine try.
Probably put that down in exactly the same spot where he scored his try earlier. But it was good work from Sterling. Muggleton split the defence with this effort. His pass went astray, but Sterling did well. And watch him accelerate again. Went through the tackle of Matthews And as he floated the pass out, it was beautifully taken by Boasted. That's not easy to catch a ball like that, touching down. High kick-off put downfield. John Muggleton to play it. Injury reports from the dressing rooms. We've seen shoulder injuries sustained by 2 of the country players. One was Jim Palmer, and the other was Greg Heddles. And we've seen that shoulder injury sustained by Steve Rogers. John Armstrong, a very worried country firsts coach. Terry Lamb. Sterling. Caveney had the ball jarred loose. Bob Payton's got it for New South Wales country. Dummy half is Goodwin. Alexander. It's Terry. Farah. Payton. Harrigan. Ray Price and Craig Young, the defenders. Kick by Donnelly is over the top, and Rebo's in possession. Slipped as he came to the tackle of Duke.
It's been a very interesting battle out there. Philip Duke, he's certainly stuck to John Rebo. He's kept a very close watch on him. Rebo going through for a try, but Duke, he's certainly been on the ball.
Well, in fact, Rebo's try was scored on the opposite flank, wasn't it? So he really hasn't scored a try on his own wing.
That's true.
Payton unloading. It's Donnelly, caught by Muggleton, gets it back. Second rower Brooks caught just over halfway. Playing it forward. Craig Young let him go, but not the tackle over the back from John Muggleton. Tarry. It's a good solid tackle from Bruce Walker. Payton. Ball knocked down there by Sterling. Went for the intercept. Good break by Maguire on the edge of the scrum. Alexander. Payton. Harrigan. Harrigan through. Good stepper. Pass intercepted by Sterling. Bad luck for country. Craig Young gives it to Krilich onto Rebo. Rebo now has Duke to beat and can't. They've had a tremendous battle, those two today. Country have got it. It's Harrigan. Payton. Donnelly. On the burst was Matthews. Terry Donnelly, country skipper, unloading there to Alexander. Now to Payton. On the burst, Matthews. Matthews is through. Will he make it? Floats it out to the fullback. That's Guider on the wing now. 5 yards short. Payton. Blindside. Farah unloading. Left behind. That's got to be offside. Picked up by Farah after it was dropped by Maguire. He was in an offside position and a scrum, at least a penalty to Sydney. And that's about 5 metres away from the goal line. Peter Sterling getting the official sponsors Man of the Match award. And I don't think that would be disputed too hotly, although it's pretty difficult to split Sterling from a couple of other players. Craig Young. Muggleton. This man's had a good game. Now Lamb. Cronin. Sterling. Over the top is Rebo. Stepping inside, ran away from Duke, realised that was probably his best prospect. Muggleton. So play with just on a minute to go. Young's pass, long one, right out over the top, intercepted. Here's Guider. The defence is after him. Brendel and Guider. Guider's going to race away and score. An intercept try. Greg Guider crosses the line for Country in the last minute of the game. The crowd delirious.
Here it is. It's a very popular try, that one. A long floating pass by Cronin, and the guide is well and truly there. He's been chased by Walker. Bosted trying desperately to get to him, bumps into Walker, but that's a fine try and a very popular one here.
Guider moving up in defence as that long pass was thrown by Cronin. He was able to take it away from Brendel. Took a little bit of time to get going. Walker gave chase but didn't have the pace, and Guider, realising he was going to score, you watch him as he goes over. Loves the effort here. So the crowd has invaded the field, anticipating that it is full time. Cronin is going to have the, I beg your pardon, Brooks is going to have the kick for goal. It becomes so automatic to call Cronin as the goal kicker. We've seen him have 11 shots at goal. This is David Brooks first. Try scorer was Greg Guider from Tamworth City, and here's Tamworth City RSL clubmate David Brooks to attempt the conversion. So Brooks from wide out. Looks good. Swinging away from the posts. No goal. There it is, referee Jack Danzy ending the game, and Sydney have run out convincing winners, their 7th win in a row over Country, 47-3, scoring 11 tries. And the only way to sum up the result, Sydney too strong, too fit and too classy in scoring 11 tries to 1. Brendel, Price and Bosted each got 2, 1 each to Muggleton, Cronin, Rogers, Rebo and Sterling, and Mick Cronin kicked 7 goals from 11 attempts. The only points for Country, that last-minute try scored by Greg Guider. Max Krilich was held level at 6-all in the scrums at half-time. He won the second half scrums 6-3 to give himself the advantage of 12-9. Penalties favoured Country by 12-7. Well, what can you say about a turning point in the game? Sydney just far too good. But there were 12 good tries scored in the match. Reg, which was your best?
Alan, there were some great tries there. Of the 12 tries scored in the game, I thought that Mick Cronin's try just prior to half-time enabled Sydney to lead 26 points to 0. And it was typical of the Sydney type of play of moving the ball across the back line, and Greg Brendel, as he's been doing all day, up in the attack. In fact, he handled twice during this movement. There's Kerry Bosted there to Brendel, onto Mick Cronin, and it's classic football and typical of the way Sydney scored some of their tries. A fine try to Mick Cronin.
Well, one of many great Sydney tries, but undoubtedly the man of the match was Sydney fullback Greg Brendel. One of the most dominating displays seen by a fullback for some time. He continually lived in the back line and really had nothing to do in defence at all because of the dominance of the Sydney side, and he must surely have consolidated his position as Australia's #1 fullback.
A disappointing result then as far as Country were concerned. They trailed 26-0 at half-time before this ground record attendance of 22,000. In the end though, Sydney far too good, running out winners by 47 points to 3.